everybody, Matthew, Texas Best. Let's jump right into our news story for today, and that is that Texas Democrats are fighting back and hard for the legislator this upcoming election. They are going to fill every single local, state, and federal race, going all down the ballot when it comes to the upcoming elections next year in 2026. They've recruited over 100 candidates to start packing these small races, even in incredibly red rural districts. The reason they're doing this is that they're looking to capitalize on backlash from Trump's just absolutely horrendous year one. I'm sure during his year one address, he's going to call it the golden age of America. Let me tell you, from a young American living in his golden age, shit sucks right now. They're looking to capitalize on the backlash to Trump. They're also looking to maximize voter turnout and hoping to even flip a few down ballot seats. So one of the organizations helping lead this new recruitment drive is the Texas Majority PAC. And so the director of that PAC, Catherine Fisher, said that even the most relentless statewide candidate is never going to talk to every single voter that they need to. We need a network of talented, compelling, Democratic communicators across the state to clearly communicate the message that Republican leadership has failed us, and it has, and that Texans should consider voting differently this cycle and in the future. So one of the stories I want to point your way is one of the races going on near Amarillo for the House District 87 between Diana Loya, who's an educator at the Dumas Independent School District up in the Panhandle, and the current sitting state representative Caroline Fairley. Fairley won her district by 79% in the last election. A lot of this recruitment, it's not necessarily to even win these seats. It's just to get Democratic faces in front of the voters, because for over 3 decades, longer than I've been alive, Republicans have had an absolute control, absolute authority over the state of Texas. So at the start of this campaign, Loya has stated that the current sitting representative, Fairley, has spent far too much time on banning books in public libraries over more pressing education issues during this year's legislative sessions. In response to which, Fairley then says that the Texas House session has made a clear statement that Texas is serious about strengthening our public schools. Let me get to the end of it. Texas has made it clear that it's serious about strengthening our public schools, and the results speak for themselves, citing billions in public school funding, teacher pay raises, pre-kindergarten, pre-K for educators, among other measures. The legislator has approved expanding how schools can discipline students and waive certification fees for bilingual and special ed teachers. Some of that is good, but when she tries to cloud it all by saying, oh, it's billions of dollars going to public schools, first of all, no. Public schools are shutting down across the entire state of Texas. En masse. The funding she is talking about is primarily vouchers and waivers going into the pockets of middle class and wealthy families, then going into the pockets of private schools, charter schools, Christian schools. There's no seriousness whenever a Republican in Texas starts to talk about public education, because they have made it very clear through their actions and through their legislations and through the consequence of both that they despise public schools. Despise them. I know a lot of teachers here in the Houston area, all the way from Beaumont all the way over to Katy. I've met many teachers before. They hate working in Texas because Texas has made it very clear they hate their teachers. And so throwing them a bone every once in a while, like free pre-K, good. But we need to reshape how we look at education in Texas entirely. So what do Republicans have to say to this fight coming their way in the 2026 election? Well, let's see. Longtime Republican strategist Dave Carney says that the Democrat candidate slate is just a gimmick, especially if they don't back it up with serious resources. When they start funding these outliers, get back to me. It's all about money to these people. And to be fair, it is all about money, but I think it's time we change the narrative that you can buy an election. I'm sick of rich fucks buying elections. So while the Democrats are focused on a whole field spread, looking to get their name out in front of as many voters as possible with as many candidates as possible, what are the Republicans doing? Well, Greg Abbott has turned the entirety of his attention onto Harris County. It is his wet dream to turn Harris County red. Not just red, dark red. This is what he said in November, right before Election Day last year. I've got $90 million in my bank account, and I'm going to spend most of it in Harris County, Texas, to make sure, precinct by precinct, we turn out voters who voted in the presidential election, turn out voters who never voted before. We got to win Harris County and make Harris County dark red. Over my dead fucking body, Greg. Ugh. So why is Harris County, Houston, the most important battleground city for both parties, for Republicans and Democrats. First of all, it's the biggest city in Texas. It's, I think, the fourth biggest city nationally. Even though Austin and Dallas-Fort Worth tend to draw most of the attention, Houston is the largest metropolitan area in the state of Texas. It's critical to both parties' statewide ambitions. It's been blue for about a decade, but I mean, for a while there it was purple. It voted for George Bush in 2004, then it voted for Barack Obama twice, but it has been adamantly anti-Trump during both of his elections. Harris County, again, we're just staying on Houston for this one because this is what the Republicans think will help them maintain powers, hitting this one city. So getting back to Dave Carney, he says that Republicans have more than enough voters in Harris County to win, but he cautioned it won't be a wipeout, but he does expect some victories. Ahead of next year, Republicans are going on the offensive, finding hope in recent elections where they reclaimed some of the 2018 losses and came less than 2 points from unseating Hidalgo in 2022. It seems the big Republican plan is to flip as many seats as possible in Harris County, from districts to judges, like any single thing they can fix, they are looking to fix. Former Republican County Commissioner Steve Raddick is going to hop back into the race. In an interview, he said that the county must return its focus to infrastructure and roads with more efficient use of public money, pointing to what he called a waste, like physical mail no one reads, while the county has increased tax rates. First of all, I know Texans really hate taxes. Oh, they hate taxes. Let me point something out to you really quickly. The Texas budget surplus exceeds $11 billion a year in taxes. And so Greg Abbott has made it his job to hand out as much of that money back to the voters as possible. Except he's not handing it back to the voters. He's handing out those tax cuts only to the homeowners, only to the rich, only to the wealthy. Let's look at how he is planning on lowering property taxes. It's a hard fight to try and explain to voters why taxes are good for them, why infrastructure is good. You want police, right? You want streetlights, right? You want roads, right? Well, Texas is so incredibly centralized around the automobile industry that when you got people talking about fixing public infrastructure, they just mean the roads. But more cars can exist. They're constantly defund and tear apart the public transportation here in Houston. There's no such thing. It's also not a walking city. It's also not even a bike-friendly city. You need a car to live in most of Texas. So their big gamble on winning people over is lowering property taxes. But even then, our governor and our lieutenant governor can't seem to agree on how they're going to go about doing that. Our lieutenant governor, Dan Patrick, is going to take the senior homestead exemption, where your taxes are frozen and your values are frozen, from 65 down to the age of 55. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick calls this proposal Operation Double Nickel. In addition to lowering eligibility age for senior homestead exemption, the plan calls for raising the homestead exemption to $180,000 for all homeowners. Patrick believes this is the most responsible way forward to fund schools while reducing property taxes. Again, when they talk about funding schools, they only mean private schools. They only mean Catholic schools and Christian schools and charter schools. They are not talking about public schools. Texas hates its public school system. And so anytime I see people talking about funding schools, they're really talking about, the private Catholic schools that then donate to these politicians. Patrick, the lieutenant governor, has said that the state's growth is fueling higher tax revenue and that it should go back to the Texans in the form of tax cuts, except it won't go back to Texans. It's not coming back to me. All of my taxes are now being refunded to homeowners. And as a Gen Z American, I've just accepted I'm not gonna own a home until I'm like 50. It's just not gonna happen. Let's see Texas try to address that issue. Instead of giving my tax money back to the rich, how about you spend it on public schools, on healthcare? How about we take this free pre-K education you're giving educators and just give it to everybody? Why not help children of all Texans? They don't want to help all Texans. They only want to help the wealthy. This is top versus bottom. Like Talarico said, top versus bottom. Now, making it seem like they're lowering taxes on you, unless your wealth is in the 6 figures or the 5 figures, unless you're a 50 millionaire, none of this helps you. This isn't for you. This is for the people making this decision. It is for their donors. It is for their lobbyists, and it is for the rich. And they like to dress it up like they're returning it to you, the people. All right, give it back to me then. Give me my money back. How about that, Greg? I would like my money back. Oh well. But no, the governor is touting his 5-point plan to cut property tax, and it calls for eliminating school property taxes altogether. So again, man, they like to talk about funding schools, but now they're going to cut off the taxes that fund the schools, that fund love the fucking schools, man. We can and we must completely abolish the school district property tax for homeowners and homestead owners. Again, all that hurts is the localized schools that happen to be around these homes and these homesteads. To no benefit of themselves, they're now making less money. But it's okay. The Texans get to keep their money. Except it's not the Texans, it's just the wealthy Texans who get to keep their money. It's a stupid fucking idea. Even Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has called it out. He's like, well then where's the money gonna come from to run any kind of government except from sales tax? Because that's basically all Texas would have at that point, is sales tax. And they would have to increase it from 8.25 cents to 14 or 15 cents on the dollar. Essentially, you would have to double the sales tax if we follow through with what Governor Greg Abbott wants to do, which is completely get rid of school property taxes for homeowners. Not for schools, just for the homeowners and the homestead owners. Greg Abbott, he keeps maintaining that the state does have enough extra revenue coming in to cover the cost of eliminating the school districts without having to raise other taxes like sales tax. All we have to do is use our budget surplus from our roaring economy to make sure we abolish one of your property taxes in this state. If it's such a roaring economy, why do I not feel it, Greg? What are you doing to win over Harris County? You're not decreasing my taxes, you're only decreasing the taxes of my landlord who owns my house. God, dude, I can't stand Greg Abbott. To make that very, very clear, I cannot stand Greg Abbott. That's all I've got for you today. Democrats and Republicans battling over Texas. Democrats are prioritizing a widespread. Republicans, Greg Abbott is just zoned in on Harris County. So we'll see how that goes. I would love it if he spends all 90 million of his dollars right here in Houston. Do that, Greg. Do that. That's all I have. Please make sure to hit the like and subscribe. I hope you have an awesome day.